It was Scottie Pippen and the Bull and the bench that brought the Bulls back. Michael was sitting on the bench, as a matter of fact, when they made that huge comeback in game 2 of the Portland series. In the Phoenix series against Charles Barkley and the crew, that was the John Paxson show. John Paxson closed that out. He went on a shooting clinic in that series against Phoenix. And in the Utah series, Dennis Rodman made a huge, huge difference in that series. The way he played defense on Karl Malone. Not only did he play good D on Karl Malone, he frustrated him. You know, made him commit silly fouls, frustrated him at the line. So, my point being, you know, in those championships, it wasn't like it was all Michael. Everyone contributed in multiple ways in all 6 of those championships. And so many things has to go right in order to win a championship. A championship is a team achievement. A team achievement. No one man wins a championship. I don't care how great you are. I don't care how great you are. No one man wins a championship. You know, you have to have a lot of pieces in place to win a championship. And Michael had all those pieces. And what bothers me is that people ask for LeBron to do what Michael wasn't able to do. Now that goes back to what I was just saying as far as team is concerned. And when people talk about Michael, most of them talk about Michael as if Michael only started playing from the 90-91 season when they took off and won their first championship and dominated all the way to 98. They dominated the 90s. People act like that's when Michael started playing basketball. Michael came in the league in 1984. Michael couldn't get out the first round of the playoffs his first 4 seasons. The first round. And if I'm not mistaken, I think a couple of those first rounds back then, you only needed 3 games to get out of the first round. Not 4 like today. You only needed 3 games to get out of the first round. And the point I'm trying to make is that as great as Michael was, and he was doing Michael things, you know, at that time. Scoring a lot of points, you know, being amazing. But he wasn't winning. And he couldn't win. And the reason he couldn't win at that time is because one great man is not going to beat a team. And one great man is definitely not going to beat a great team like that Boston Celtic team was that had Larry Bird. So I don't care how awesome you may be, one man is not going to beat a great team. And Michael didn't start winning until they put a team around him. Until Scottie came along, Horace Grant, John Paxson, Phil Jackson, you know. Till he started putting the pieces in place is when the winning started. And even then, the championship winning didn't come right away. You know, they had to get past the Pistons. So it took a while for things to develop. Pieces to be put in places before the championships started coming. So if you're going to do a comparison between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, let's throw out the championships. Okay, because like I said, championships are won by teams, not by an individual. A phenomenal individual definitely can aid in making sure that team win, but he still needs a team. He's not going to do it alone. When I do my comparison between Michael and LeBron, I do it player for player, not the team goals or not the team accomplishments, but player for player. And I remember Michael when he was in North Carolina. And I remember him being on the team with James Worthy and Sam Perkins. I watched him a little bit in college, and Michael was a good player. Wasn't a great college player, but he was a good player. When Michael came in the league, Michael didn't come in the league with a lot of hype behind him. No expectations saying, he's going to be special. He's going to be a great one. No, he was recognized as a good college player coming into the NBA. But he wasn't like someone for people to watch and say, yo, he's going to be something special. You think back, to Michael's own words of the things that motivated him. If I'm not mistaken, I think it says brother used to beat him in one-on-one games. That motivated him. And his high school coach cutting him, not demoting him, but cutting him, that motivated him. Him not being drafted number 1 overall, these things motivated him. And another thing is that a lot of these commentators forget that the commentators back then said the same thing about Michael that they've said about LeBron. Oh, Michael was just a high flyer. Michael just was a dunker. Michael couldn't lead a team. Michael couldn't shoot. Now, I know a lot of y'all look crazy when I said Michael couldn't shoot, because when y'all think of Michael, y'all think of that iconic turnaround jumper or that iconic fadeaway. Well, I'm here to tell y'all, the commentators back then was right. Michael didn't come in the league with that iconic turnaround or that iconic fadeaway or that nice low post game he developed, the nice footwork, the nice foul line jumper, the nice 15, 12-foot jumper. He didn't come in the league with that. He was just what the commentator said he was. He was a high-flying highlight machine. Michael was able to do the unbelievable in the air. He was able to jump higher than anyone else, hang longer, had the most phenomenal finishes at the rim you have ever seen. Some of the craziest layups you have ever seen. The way he was able to contort his body and get that ball up to the rim. No one has ever seen anything like that before. But as far as jump shooting, no. But dunking and finishing at the rim, the greatest you've ever seen. Now, he would have some hot streaks where he'll hit, some jumpers, but he did not come in the league with that jump shot. And kudos to him. He worked on his game every summer to develop his game, to work on his weaknesses, and he got better. He got that low post going, and he got that fadeaway and that turnaround, thanks to Detroit. Because the Detroit Pistons say, you're not going to bring that inside game. You're not going to kill us inside. So every time Michael would drive or go inside, when he would play Detroit, they would punish him. And he knew then that he had to develop an outside game, and he did so. So I commend him. Kudos to Michael, for making himself the icon that we know today. Just from pure hard work, he made himself into the Michael we know and love to this day. LeBron, on the other hand, was supremely talented from the jump. This kid, man, was never cut from his teams. He was always the best player on any team he was on. LeBron James was good enough to come straight out of high school into the NBA, but Michael was not. And he came into the NBA as the most hyped kid, the most hyped high school player ever. And he came into a league at a time where you had social media. You know, this young kid already got this multi-million-dollar shoe contract, and everybody like, who is him? Who is this kid? You know, and keep in mind, he coming into a league where there's a young, in his prime, Kobe Bryant waiting on him. A young Shaquille O'Neal in his prime waiting on him. A young Tim Duncan in his prime waiting on him. So you got some cats in this league that was waiting to knock him on his ass when he got in the league to say, hey, young buck, you ain't ready yet. And I'm quite sure there was a lot of players in the league that want to knock him on his ass and tell him, you ain't ready. But despite what they wanted to do, it's about what you was able to do. And they was unable to knock him on his ass and tell him he wasn't ready yet. Man, at 18 years old, this young man comes into the league at 18, playing with grown men. These are the big boys now. And from 18 years old to the tender age of 22 years old, he's in the finals. Think about that. In his first 4 years, he's in the finals. Michael's first 4 years, he couldn't get past the first round of the playoffs. And most people who remember that finals against the Spurs, if I ask you right now to name the starting five, could you do it on LeBron's team? Could you name me the starting five? Now, you probably was the same thing with Michael. When he was losing in those first round games, could you name me the starting five on those teams? Probably not. But the difference is, you can't name the first five, you can't name the starting five players on Michael's team, but they was losing in the first round. Just like you can't name the starting five on LeBron's team, but they're in the finals. They're in the finals. Michael, when he started winning his championships, always had the ingredients that it takes to win once he started winning. He had a superstar next to him in Scottie Pippen. And as I said earlier, let me get on this Scottie thing, man, because a lot of people really bother me with how they don't give Scottie the credit he deserves. Scottie was essential in winning all those championships. Scottie was a beast. Man, for those who were alive enough to watch those games, it really upsets me how they try to diminish Scottie Pippen only to elevate Michael. And I feel like that's really uncalled for, because they want to put Mike so high. They want to diminish Scottie Pippen and make it seem like, Scottie was just along for the ride with Michael. Oh, no, hell no. Hell no, he was not just along for the ride with Michael. Scottie made a major difference. Michael didn't start winning until Scottie came along. And in my opinion, Michael don't win those championships without him. Now, would he have won a championship or two, maybe even three, because he was so supremely gifted? Yes, I believe so. I believe he would have eventually got there. But would he won 5, 6 without Scottie? In my opinion, no. No, he does not. So people need to stop diminishing Scottie Pippen and start showing that man the love he deserves, because he made a major difference in those championships. A major difference. So now that I got that off my chest, Michael has always had a superstar, the superstar next to him in Scottie Pippen. When he started winning his championships, he always had a Hall of Fame coach in Phil Jackson when he started winning. He had good role players with him when he started winning. He had good shooters. Paxson, Kerr, B.J. Armstrong, Craig Hodges, along with him. He had the good glue guys and dirty guys and guys that just play defense, hustle, rebound, don't care about stats. You know, the greatest rebound, in my opinion, ever, and Dennis Rodman. You know, Cliff Levingston, Ron Harper, Horace Grant. You know, even Bill Cartwright to some degree. Just hard playing hustle dudes that don't care about stats. You know, played tough, hard defense. So Michael had all the ingredients when he started winning that you need to win. LeBron James has never had a sidekick the caliber of a Scottie Pippen. Or never had a superstar alongside him. Now I know some of you will sit here and say, oh, he played with Dwayne Wade. Yes, he did play with Dwayne Wade. But let's not get it twisted. Dwayne Wade that he played with was not the Dwayne Wade from the Dallas series, when he all but single-handedly brought Miami back in that Dallas series. They had Shaq on that team, by the way. But it was Dwayne Wade who brought that home. Now, if LeBron James had that Dwayne Wade, oh man, we might be talking 5 or 6 championships. If he had that Dwayne Wade. But he didn't have that Dwayne Wade. He had an older, unfortunately, injury riddled, still a good player now, Dwayne Wade, but not that Dwayne Wade. And I know some of you will sit here and say, oh yeah, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Really? Really? Kyrie and Kevin Love are nowhere in the stratosphere of Scottie Pippen. Yes, Kyrie Irving is a better ball handler and scorer, but that's it. As far as anything else, he can't hold Scottie Pippen's job. And please don't even mention Kevin Love in the same sentence with Scottie Pippen. Okay? So let's kill that. Chris Bosh either. So that's number one. Number two, LeBron James has never had a Hall of Fame coach in his entire career. He's never had a Phil Jackson, a Pat Riley, a Greg Popovich. He didn't even have a Larry Brown. He's never had a Hall of Fame type of coach coaching him in his entire career. Think about that for a moment also. And now let's take in the level of competition. And this is to diminish none of those players, but I'm just going to try to put this in perspective. So let's just be real for a moment here. Michael Jordan, and I hate doing this because I love Mike, but it just irks me, man, when people do this and don't put it in proper perspective when they talk about this comparison. And this is what I was telling my friends last night, and this is the reason why they said I should come on and do this. Let this be my first YouTube topic. Michael Jordan has never had to face the type of talent that LeBron James has had to face. Okay? Before Michael became Michael and he started winning, there was only 2 transcendent players in the league at that time. And the way that I define transcendent is something you've never seen before. A once in a lifetime, once in a generation type talent. That's what I consider to be transcendent. And there was only 2 at the time. That was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Those only 2 in the league at that time. And because they was only two in the league, you see what happened. They dominated the 80s. All the championships during the entire 80s up until the end when the Bad Boy Pistons came along and took over was all won by either Magic or Bird. So outside of Magic and Bird being the only transcendent talents that was in the league when Michael was in the league during the 80s, who else was Michael's competition? Let's see. You had, of course, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Reggie Miller, Clyde DeGlide, Karl Malone, Patrick. I already said Patrick Ewing. If I did, I'm gonna say it. Patrick Ewing. Oh man, Gary Payton, Shawn Kemp. Who else? These are the most recognizable names that he had to deal with during his reign and during the Bulls' reign. All good players. All good players. Most, if not all, I just named are Hall of Famers. And during his finals reign, let's see who he had to deal with. He had to deal with Magic and the Lakers, who was much older and dealing with injuries. He had to deal with Clyde DeGlide and Terry Porter. He had to deal with Charles Barkley and KJ. He had to deal with Kemp and Gary Payton. He had to deal with Stockton and Malone twice. These are the level of competition he had to deal with in all 6 of his finals. All those players I just named are good players. I mean to diminish those players in no way, shape, form, or fashion. As I said, I think all of them, if not all of them, I think are Hall of Famers. And Stockton's not Hall of Famer. I think the rest of them may be. Terry Porter I don't think is a Hall of Famer, but I think the rest of them are Hall of Famers. But out of all those names I just gave you, none of them are transcendent. None of them are a once-in-a-generation, once-in-a-lifetime type talent. The type of talent that you only get a chance to see maybe once in your entire life. Or once in a generation. None of them. And the crazy part about that is, the only transcendent player during Michael's reign was Michael. He was the only transcendent player at that time. And I think that's one of the reasons why he stood out the way he did, because there was nothing in the league like him. Kobe and Shaq came along late in Michael's reign, but they wasn't who we know them to be. They was rookies. Except for Shaq. Shaq came in and dominated, but Kobe, it took him a minute. So these are the players that Michael faced in his reign. As I said, all good players, but none of them are transcendent. Now let's talk about the players that LeBron had to deal with in his career throughout the entirety of his playing career. LeBron James has been dealing with transcendent, once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation type talent since day one. LeBron James came into a league that had a young, in his prime, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Tracy McGrady, Allen Iverson, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. These are, 3 of them are definitely transcendent, because most people regard Kobe Bryant as the second greatest 2 guard next to Michael. Most people regard Shaquille O'Neal as the most dominant center to ever play. Most people regard Tim Duncan as the greatest power forward to ever play. Those other players, they may not be transcendent, but they're definitely Hall of Famers. And in my opinion, if it wasn't for injury, I believe Tracy McGrady would have been transcendent. Dwayne Wade, if it wasn't for injury, I think would have been a transcendent player. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Vince Carter, and Allen Iverson, I think they are honorable mentions, like right there under transcendent. And this was in the first part of LeBron James' career. This was in the first part of the first half, I would say, of LeBron James' career. So LeBron James has done this in two parts. In the first part of his career, with all that talent I just named and just told you a few minutes ago, he still was able to rise and ascend to become the greatest player in the game. So now on the back half of his career, he's now dealing with, check out these crop of names: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Anthony Davis, Giannis, Kyrie Irving, who is now, they played together for a while, but now they're on opposing teams. What my boy's name? He's in Sacramento now. I mean, not Sacramento. He's in Toronto now. Kawhi Leonard. All of these players he's now facing in the second half of his career. Now, those names I just gave you, these are the ones that are transcendent. We all know that Steph Curry, as most people regard, as the greatest shooter of the basketball this league has ever seen. Klay Thompson is the second greatest shooter of the basketball this league has ever seen. Kevin Durant is the greatest 7-foot all-around player this league has ever seen. And I'm going to tell you something else I'm going to put in the transcendent category is today's big man. Today's big man is something we've never seen before. For those of us who've been watching basketball a long time, big men normally stay in the post. Okay? They shoot layups and dunks. Back you down, back to the basket type players. That's what big man normally did. Now you got 7-footers like Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis, all these 7-footers. Not only are they shooting jumpers, they're shooting threes and are hitting them on a regular basis. Back in Michael's day, the only big man that actually could shoot, from my recollection that I can remember, is Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon. I think Rick Smith, maybe, if I remember correctly, but that was able to shoot, and even they didn't shoot threes. They had definitely had a decent jump shot for big men. Because most big men couldn't even shoot free throws. That's more than shooting 3-pointers. But in today's game, LeBron James are dealing with 7-footers that can shoot the basketball. So the level of talent that LeBron has had to face throughout the entirety of his career is far greater than Michael had to face. And like I said, that's no knock on any of those players from that era, but they're not as good. No one has ever shot the ball like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. There's never been a player like Kevin Durant. So, and other players I've named. So, it's just so unfair when people do this. And lastly, before I close, let me ask y'all a question, something for y'all to ponder on. And you can leave comments and on my comments and tell me what y'all think about this. And answer me this question with just a single name of the team. Now, this is a hypothetical, and I know we'll never know, but it's just a hypothetical so that you can understand what LeBron James has been dealing with, losing to a team that got 3 of the greatest players ever on it. And then losing to a Tim Duncan team with 3 Hall of Famers and coached by Greg Popovich. Okay, where his teams never can match up player for player, but that's something I'll go into maybe on another show. But just imagine this. On that Lakers team that the Bulls played on their first finals, if you put Kevin Durant on that team, do the Bulls win?